First, the best laws money can buy. That's what Time magazine is calling them. Lobbyists spent $3.5 billion last year on lobbyists, and what did they get for it? Plenty. Lower taxes, less liability, delayed or ended regulation. It's the biggest bargain in town, says Time writer Stephen Brill. Perhaps that's why poor people and people without jobs are having such a hard time getting what they need out of their Congress. Millions of unemployed saw their benefits run out this week with still no relief in sight. Bankers, meanwhile, got taxpayer protection, and senators still refuse to end tax breaks for oil drillers. What's going on? Up next, we check in with GRITTV's Senate source, Bernie Sanders, independent of Vermont. But first, Democrats did win one thing, the congressional baseball game. Take a look.
This is a grudge match. We're holding a grudge for a whole year. This is John Fleming from Louisiana. We're coming back to take the trophy. It was our streak that the Democrats broke last year, and we're going to start another 10-year streak tonight.
It's for pride, you know, it's D's versus R. It's all about the pride. I'm Congresswoman Linda Sanchez. I represent the 39th District of California. Shimkus, I'm coming after you. Throw the heat, brother, because nothing but hits coming out of my bat tonight. It's all
For a good cause, and we raise a lot of good money for good causes. So it's wonderful, but it is competitive. Make no mistake. I mean, it's bragging rights in the House gym for the rest of the year.
Well, as you probably know, Senator Sanders, the result was 13-5. Democrats win. Go Sanchez. My question to you is this where the unemployed are going to get their extension of benefits from?
Well, obviously not. What the Time Time magazine analysts missed pointing out, it's not just that lobbyists have spent billions of dollars. That's absolutely true. It's not just the big money influences every piece of legislation. But for whatever reason, they didn't get to the nitty-gritty of politics. They should ask ourselves, if you're talking about extending unemployment benefit, who voted for it, who voted against it? We had, my memory is correct, all of 2 Republicans voting to extend unemployment benefits. This is the 4th time we've tried to bring that up. Some of us are trying to invest in America and create millions of jobs that our workers desperately need. Find out what the role the Republican Party is playing. So it is easy enough to talk about the role that big money plays. It is absolutely correct. But it is also important to understand that the Republicans are now playing the strongest obstructionist role in terms of filibuster after filibuster that we have ever seen. And their goal is to make sure that Obama, Democrats accomplish nothing so that we can go back to 8 more years of the Bush, go back to the Bush philosophy of the last 8 years.
Does the passage this week of your colleague, Senator Byrd, mean that we will never again have a real discussion about Senate rules? I mean, why not discuss why the Republicans are able to hold legislation such hostage?
Laura, excellent point, and I think we all understand that Senator Byrd probably knew more about the rules than any other person in the Senate. He's going to be missed. But on the other hand, I think the point that you have a situation right now where we need 60 votes time after time after time, which was not the case in the past. In the past, 60 votes, the filibuster was used very, very rarely. Now it is used on every major piece of legislation. Is this an issue that has to be dealt with? Yes, it is.
So let's deal with it. I mean, your bill, for example, on taxing oil companies, relieving them, let's say, of their $35 billion tax break, that would help the deficit. It would help all sorts of things. Doesn't get a chance in a chamber like this.
Oh, no way. No, if you're talking about tax breaks on the rich, there's no way you can get that through. You're going to have every Republican voting against it and some Democrats voting against it. The fight right now, to tell you the truth, is to make sure we don't give more tax breaks to millionaires and billionaires. There's an effort underway in which I believe every Republican will be supportive, and some Democrats, to lower the tax burden in terms of the estate tax, which applies to the top 0.3% of the American population, literally millionaires and billionaires.
Well, but I mean, again, most people watching this program say, wait a minute, the American people are increasingly against the war, for example, Iraq, but also Afghanistan, and yet we just are budgeting 33, I think, billion more dollars for the Afghanistan expansion. They're for an increase in the unemployment benefits. They're for coming down harder on the oil companies. Why is our government, that so many people, more people than usual, voted for last time around, still so unresponsive?
Well, what I'm trying to say is that two things. Number one, in fairness to Obama and the Democratic leadership, we passed a stimulus package which created 1.5 million jobs and has in some ways begun to transform the priorities of the United States. Is that enough? No, it's not. Is it a step forward? Yeah. You know how many Republican votes we got for that? Virtually none. We passed health care reform for the first time since Medicare is getting 30 million more Americans into health insurance, doubling the number of community health centers, doing away with the absurd pre-existing conditions from the insurance companies. As much as we should be doing? No. Is it a step forward? Yeah. How much support did we get from the Republicans? Virtually nothing. Financial reform. In my view, it is not a particularly strong bill. But is it a perhaps way forward to make sure that we're never again going to have to bail out Wall Street? You can argue that. I know that I got an amendment in there which for the first time would allow an audit of the Fed in terms of their emergency provisions and investigation of conflicts of interest. Is that a step forward? Yeah. How much support are we getting from the Republicans? Virtually nothing. So the problem that we have is the country faces enormous problems. You got an obstructionist Republican Party. You have conservatives within the Democratic Party who in some cases are bolting. You have a president who has not been as tough, I think, on the ruling class of this country as he should be. That's where we are today. But I don't think it's fair to blame both sides equally. The Republicans are obstructing. Some Democrats are trying to do the right thing.
All right, enough said on that. What about energy policy? There was a meeting with the president and senators this week. You were there. What came of it, and where do you think we're going with the energy?
I wasn't there. I was disappointed. I would have liked to have been there. I was not there. And then there's an example where I disagree with the president. I don't know why you're bringing Republicans in to talk to about energy when we have seen nothing from them to even suggest that global warming is a huge planetary crisis, nothing to suggest from them that they want to move away from oil and coal in any significant way. I think what we have got to do is take our case to the American people that, number one, from an economic perspective, we can't continue to import $350 billion every single year of oil from Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, etc. B, we now have the potential today to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel, oil and coal, to energy efficiency and wind, solar, geothermal, biomass, and other technologies. And when you do that, you create millions of good-paying jobs. That's a fight that some of us are trying to wage. No support from the Republicans. Obama's doing something, not enough.
If not now, then when, you kind of wonder. Very quickly, Senator, we've got about 30 seconds, but there's an expected important speech on immigration from the president this week. Do you think that there will be anything significant really in it, or any chance of an overhaul on that front this session?
Well, I doubt very much that we can get 60 votes on that. I think the Republicans think that what's taking place in Arizona is good politics. I think that's probably the line that they're going to push. I think that's unfortunate. That is the political reality.
All right, Bernie Sanders, thanks so much for joining us, our Senate sleuth there for GRITtv. Thanks so much for coming on. We will put some links up to relevant actions you can take regarding the policies we've been discussing at our website, grittv.org, where you can find out more. Thanks.